Children, in this video we'll learn about the features of the northern plain. Children, in my previous video I've already mentioned about the formation of the northern plain. As I told you, when the Indian plate collided with the Asian plate, what was formed? Yes, or the Tethys Sea, the sediments in the Tethys Sea were uplifted to form Himalayan mountains. And when they were formed, there was a huge depression formed at the foothills of the mountains. Yes, okay, like we have a head and foot. So at the bottom of these mountains a depression was formed, like I've shown you here the Himalayas, and at the foothill a depression was formed. And then when the rivers came down from these mountains, they brought in silt, sand, soil, and with a number of millions of years they just deposited down in this depression, and they formed a plain land. So that led to the formation of the northern plains. Children, with this hand movement you can understand when the two plates collided led to the formation of the Himalayas, and this was a depression created. So when the rivers came down from the mountains, they brought in sand and silt and covered up this depression. It didn't happen in a single year, it happened over millions of years. This depression got filled up to form our northern plains, and it was filled up with alluvial soil, the most fertile soil. Children, the northern plain was formed mainly due to the three rivers and their tributaries, the Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra. Okay, so it was these three tributaries. You can see Indus, okay, and the Ganga and the Brahmaputra. These were the ones which contributed by bringing on sand and silt and alluvial soil to fill up this depression. Okay, so you can see Indus with its tributaries. Okay, you can see Ganga and its tributaries and Brahmaputra and its tributaries. They filled up the entire depression that was formed after the formation of the Himalayas and created the northern plains of India. So you can see this is the vast stretch of the northern plains of India. Okay, and see, it is 2,400 kilometers in length. Okay, and the width, you can see it is between 240 to 320 kilometers is the width. Somewhere it is wider, somewhere it is narrower. So but the average is from 240 to 320 kilometers is the width of the northern plain. Okay, and if we see the entire area from here, all this is 7 lakh square kilometers is our northern plain. Right from here we go around, this is 7 lakh square kilometer. Children, let us look into the features of the northern plains. Yes, because of the soil that is brought down from the rivers, which is very fertile soil, so it is agriculturally the most productive part of India. All kinds of crops are grown here. As I've already told you, it spreads over an area of 7 lakh square kilometers, and it is densely populated. Why is it densely populated, the northern plains? Because of two main reasons: fertile soil, lots of crops can be grown; plain land, which is useful for settlements and transport and building factories and residential or human settlement. And also it has plenty of water, because all these rivers and its tributaries are flowing from the northern plains. So due to plenty of water, this is the most densely populated area, and this area is totally formed of alluvial soil. Now what is alluvial soil? They are loose sediments carried by water and are very, very fertile. Okay, so children, let us look into the first section of the northern plain. It is in the western part. You can see it is, yes, it is in the western part, and the major part is in Pakistan. You can see here it's Pakistan. Major part of this is in Pakistan, and it is formed by the Indus River and its tributaries. Okay, so which are the tributaries? It's Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and Satluj. So these are, that is why it is called the Punjab plain. Panj means five, and Aag means water. So the land of 5 rivers. So the entire, that's why this name is given as the Punjab plain. Okay, and it's the western part of the northern plain. It's in the west. That is why it is in the western part of the northern plain. Okay, so this is the Punjab plain. Children, the next section that we see, the second one, is the Ganga plain, extends between the Ghagra river and Teesta is here, so it is in between that, and it stretches over so many states: Haryana, Delhi, UP, Bihar. All these are under the Ganga plain. Okay, so you can see the second section, that is the Ganga plain. And here you must remember, extends between Ghagra and Teesta. Here Ghagra river and the end is here Teesta river. Okay, so in between that we have the Ganga plain. So Ganga river and its tributary. The next one, children, is the Brahmaputra basin, or the section is the Brahmaputra. So it is lies to the east of the Ganga plains. It's on the east. Okay, and it covers most of Assam and other northeastern states, and is drained by the Brahmaputra river and its tributaries. So this is the Brahmaputra plain. Okay, so we have three plains. First one was the Punjab plain, Ganga plain, and Brahmaputra plain. So children, here you can see a picture showing you in detail the plains. Okay, satellite picture. Here is the Ganga Indus plain or the Punjab plain, because it is drained by the Indus river with its 5 tributaries. Which are the 5 tributaries? Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and Satluj. And here you have Ganga river with lots of tributaries joining it, and from here we have Brahmaputra. So these 3 main rivers had contributed, brought in alluvial soil from the mountains, okay, and covered up the entire depression to form the northern plain. Children, these rivers that are coming from the mountains, Himalayan mountains, are bringing a large amount, lots and lots of eroded soil, which help in some depositional work, and we look into some of the depositional work which are given in your book. Children, when the rivers are coming from the mountains, they are bringing lots and lots, large amounts of eroded soil, which help in a lot of depositional work. Some of the depositional work you will see that are given in your book. One is the formation of the riverine island. So in the lower coast, you see when the river comes up from down the mountain, it is in a youthful stage, it gushes down, and finally when it reaches the plain area, it slows down to the gentle slope. The velocity of the river decreases. Yes, it decreases, flows slowly, and leads to the collection of lots of sand and silt in an area. Okay, so when it decreases, it leads to the formation. You can see all the sand and silt gets deposited here. The river is unable to move. So how will the water go now? This is blocking the water to flow. So the water will go from here and some from here, and the entire deposit will become hard, leading to the formation of an island. So you can see this is an island being formed in the river, because lots of sediments, now it's in the lower course, it's flowing very slowly, and this gets deposited. It doesn't happen every time, but yes, this is created in the lower course of the river. So you can see one of the islands which have been formed by due to the river. It's in Manjuli Islands in the Brahmaputra river, one of the largest inhabited riverine islands in the world. So you can see lots of people living there. It's been formed in the Brahmaputra river. Okay, Manjuli River Island. This is the formation due to the deposition in the lower course of the river. So when we learn river also, you must have learned it in class 7. It is upper course, middle course and lower course. This happens in the lower course of the river. Children, another depositional feature of the river is the creation of doab. Now what is do? Do means two and ab means water. So the doab is a land between two rivers. Okay, now what is the land between two rivers? Why is children, another depositional feature is the creation of the river is doab. Now what is the meaning of do? Do means two and ab means water. So doab is a land between two rivers, is known as doab. Now you can see here Ganga, and then here Yamuna, and then what happens, all the sand and silt get deposited in between these two rivers. So when sand and silt and gets deposited between the two rivers, it leads to the creation of doab. Okay, so here it's very fertile. All this area, land, the soil and the silt and alluvial soil get deposited here. So doab is a land between two rivers. So this is another depositional feature of the river. Children, another feature of deposition is the formation of distributaries. Now when a river reaches towards the end, when it is about to enter into the ocean, it gives rise, and lots of sediments are being brought to it, and then the river is unable to flow into the sea or ocean. So small streams or channels are created. Okay, then these waters are distributed from through these channels into, and then they get into the river, empty out into the river. So when they empty out, they decrease the volume of the river. So you can see here the river is coming from the mountains and it is about to empty out into the ocean, and when it is coming here, it's so slow, it's all the sediments get deposited. Now the river is unable to flow and empty out into the ocean. So what it does, it just deposits all its soil here, and now finally the water has to go into the ocean, so it forms channels or small streams which are called as distributaries. Now it is distributing the water from here, okay, giving it to these small streams, and then they finally empty out into the ocean. So that is distributary. Now when you have learned distributary, let us learn what is tributary also. Children, tributaries are streams of water and small rivers that join a larger river. That means they're contributing, giving tribute, they're giving their water all to the larger river, and this increases the volume of water in the river. So you can see here in this figure, see here, small rivers, they join the main river, they are giving a tribute to this main river, they are joining. Whereas what is happening here, because the sediments are deposited, they are unable to flow into the water, so small channels are created which are called as distributors. So they're distributing water and finally emptying out into the sea. So this decreases the volume of water, this increases the volume of water. Tributaries are giving tribute, they're putting all the water is going into the main river, they're joining, small rivers joining the main river. Okay, now children, northern plains also have been divided on the basis of their relief features. Now it is Bhabar, Tirai, Bhangar and Khadar. Now you must be wondering what are they. So now we'll explain to you what are these four relief features. Children, you must be wondering that the northern plains are flat land. Okay, absolutely flat land, because they are the entire region has been covered and made into flat land. But no, that's not true. The vast plains also have diverse relief features, and I will told you what we are going to discuss in this relief features. We are going to discuss Bhabar, Tirai, Bhangar and Khadar. Now we'll do about Bhabar. Now what are Bhabar? It is this belt which is lying at the foothills of the Shivalik. You can see this is the Shivalik, the last range of the Himalayas, and the foothills of the Shivalik, and lying parallel to the Shivalik, we have about 8 to 16 kilometers of this Bhabar belt. Now what is Bhabar belt? It is composed of pebbles. All these pebbles and stones that are brought in are collected here in this region. This is called as Bhabar, and the streams which are flowing from the Himalayas, they disappear into these pebbles. That means they go underneath and flow, and then they come out again. So here the most important feature is that we cannot see the water flowing. Okay, so that is Bhabar. Now let us see what is Tarai. Children, let us divide what is Bhabar. It is a belt of about 8 to 16 kilometers lying parallel to the slopes of Shivalik. The Bhabar area is composed of pebbles which are brought down by the rivers, and the streams disappear in this belt, this Bhabar belt. Now children, to the south of the Bhabar lies the Tarai region. Now this is the Tarai region, which is wet, swampy and marshy, and here the streams re-emerge. Here we say they disappear and they come out here again. Okay, and this is the region of thickly forested region and have lots and lots of wildlife, and and after the partition, when lots of migrants were coming here, the forests were cleared, and this was created as an agricultural land to make the migrants settle down. Okay, so this is the Tarai region. So let us see the Tarai region. South of the Bhabur belt lies the Tarai region. They are wet, swampy, marshy region where the streams and rivers re-emerge. Okay, the region is thickly forested and full of wildlife. And over a period of time, forests have been created to create agricultural land to settle migrants from Pakistan after partition. Children, I'll show you an experiment showing the Bhabur and the Tarai region. So this pebble region is the Bhabur, and you can see the muddy part is the Tarai region. So you can see as the river flows, she's pouring water. You can see the rivers disappear, they can't be seen in the pebbles. And finally you will see where will they emerge. They'll emerge here, and you can see when they emerge here, it becomes wet and swampy. Okay, so this becomes the Tarai region. This is the Bhabur region, and this is the Tarai region, which becomes wet. This whole soil becomes wet because now the streams reappear here. Children, let us look into the difference between Bhabur and Terai. You can see it is in the region south of the Shivalik. Terai is in the region south of the Bhabur region and runs parallel to it. Very less vegetation is found here, and here dense vegetation is found in this belt. The width is, I told you, 8 to 16 kilometers. Here I forgot to tell you the width. It is 20 to 30 kilometers. Okay, and water streams disappear in this region due to permeable sediments, and here water streams re-emerge from the Bhabur in this region, and it is not suitable for cultivation because of the big pebbles there, and this is very suitable for cultivation. So this is the difference between Bhabur and Terai. So okay children, when the now river flows on the plain land, there are another two features that we have to learn. It is Bhangar and Khadar. Now what are Bhangar and Khadar? They are nothing but old alluvial soil and new alluvial soil. So Bhangar, as you know, Bhangar, that we give away the old newspapers to the Bhangar wala, it is old. Here deposits of old alluvial soil, and here we have deposits, this yellow part that you see are deposits of new alluvial soil which are brought down from the mountains. Now when the river is flowing and it overflows, especially during floods, it overflows and deposits all these new alluvial soil on its banks, isn't it? So these are the new ones which are created, and this keeps on depositing year after year. And here you can see this leads to the formation of floodplains. So these new ones, the new ones that are deposited here on the banks of the river, this leads to the creation of floodplains. Now what are Bhangar? Bhangar are the old ones which are not in use, that are deposited much years back. Okay, and they have developed calcium deposits in it, which is not very fertile. So this is a new alluvial soil which has been deposited on the banks of the river, and every year they keep on depositing. So that is Khadar. Khadar you can remember as Khad, which is very very fertile, and we give it to the plants. So remember as Khadar is a new alluvial soil, and Bhangar as the old alluvial soil. Okay. So let's look inside. I told you this is the creation of floodplain. Let's look into the difference between Bhangar and Khadar. Now Bhangar is old alluvial. It lies above the floodplains of the river. So you can see here it is lying above this. This is from here to here is the floodplain. It is above the floodplains. Okay, and presents a terrace-like feature. It's high raised, and it contains calcareous deposits. Okay, all kinds of calcium deposit like pebbles and all. The soil is not very fertile. Okay, and Khad, remember Khad, it is new young alluvial soil which are renewed almost every year, very fertile, very ideal for agriculture, and therefore intensive agriculture is performed on this Bhangar soil. Okay, lots of agriculture is done here. Okay, so that's the only difference between Bhangar and Khadar. This we have completed the northern plains. So let us revise once again what are northern plains. Northern plains are formed by the major three river systems, the Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra along with its tributaries. It is formed of alluvial soil, and the vast basin lying at the foothills of the Himalayas is deposited with this alluvial soil. What is alluvial? Fine particles of silt and clay and larger particles of sand and gravel. Over millions of years they have deposited and filled up that depression and formed this plain. Area of the plain, northern plain is 7 lakhs kilometers. Length is 2,400 kilometers. Breadth, I told you, differs. Somewhere it is narrow, somewhere it is broad. So it is between 240 to 320 kilometers. And this is a densely populated region. It is agriculture very productive region, which and due to why is it very populated? Because of the rich soil, adequate water and favorable conditions. Northern plains are the most populated area of the world, we can say. Okay, children, then I told you, because of the lots and huge amounts of eroded soil that the rivers are bringing, the lots of depositional work was going on, leading to the formation of riverine islands. Okay, an island formed in the river, and the lower coast leading to deposition leading to distributaries. And I've also explained Dwab. What is Dwab? Land between two rivers. Yes, Do means two and Ab means water, so land between two rivers, that is the creation of Dwab. Okay, so these were some of the depositional features. Children, then we have learned that northern plain is divided into three parts: the Punjab basin, the Ganga basin and the Brahmaputra basin. You can see 1, 2 and 3. Now Punjab basin, the western part of the northern plains formed by Indus and its tributaries, and larger part lies in Pakistan. Ganga extends from between Ghagar and Tista rivers, and it's spread over states like India, Haryana, Delhi, UP, Bihar, Jharkhand and West Bengal. And Brahmaputra, particularly in Assam, you can see here in the east part of the Ganga plain. Okay. Then, and lastly, we have seen that northern plain is not a flat land. It has diverse features and can be divided into 4 regions. Which are the 4 regions? Bhangar, lying at the foothills of the Shivalik, a narrow belt which is from 8 to 16 kilometers, consisting of pebbles, and here the rivers disappear. Okay, and Terai, lying next to Bhabar, a wet marshy area with wildlife and forest, and here the rivers re-emerge. Then we have Bhangar and Khadar. They are older alluvial plain which rises above the level of the floodplain, and Khadar, younger alluvium of the floodplain. So you can see here foothills of Shivalik, pebbles, it is Bhabar, then Thirai, then Bhangar and Khadar. Bhangar, I told you, old, Khadar is new. So with this we come to the end of the northern plain.